Well, welcome back, all my big bass lovers out there. It's Demont coming back at you again. What I have for you today is where this company, Lizard Boike, or Boike Lizard, whatever you want to call it, I really like this reel, but I couldn't ever really get used to it being left-handed. It just doesn't work that great for me. But they kept promising me a right-hand version was coming out soon. So I said, okay, show me. And then they never showed me. But I don't know if this company had a name change or what happened, but this is Leydun. And I'm pretty sure, I can't do it like Drunk Uncle, I'm trying, that this is the right-hand version of what that was promised to be. But let's find out as we go on this journey together. And it is. Look at that shit. Got some little weird sticker on the side. Leydun. It's basically, it is almost, yeah. This is the right-hand version of what this was supposed to be. I don't understand why they couldn't just do this. So it's same size, same everything. Just right-hand version, different color. Same carbon fiber handle, same every little thing. Even the thumb bar is the same, just reversed. So, what I can't understand is why they told me they were going to do that, and then they didn't. So, I'm going to go ahead and go through some little stuff here for you again so you can get a refresher of this reel. Just a little small round reel. Let me get this little cover off the little plastic piece here because it looks stupid. But it has like a little fish in the logo. It's called the USOPP. Designed and engineered by Leydun. That feels good old Chinesium or plastic. I don't know. This is metal here, definitely. That's metal. This side cover might... It might be. I don't know. I think it's plastic, but just kind of give you an example of what this braking system is all about. Here's your spool. So there's no brakes inside the side plate there. It has basically an FTB on the inside of it. See it there? It's hard for me to show you. Let me give you the weight on this. Give me 1 second. Let me get it all, put it back together. Puts it back together real quick. This reel was a great little caster. I mean, as far as it being a left-handed reel, I really enjoyed casting it. And this one feels even smoother than that one. And this is the little bait that I was casting on this reel. To give you an example, that is a 1/32 ounce head in a little tiny crawl. I think this bait weighed 1.1 gram. It's a little Elastec bait. And I was swimming this little crawl, using it kind of like a little shad type thing. And in the creek, I was catching all kinds of fish with this little booger. And I wasn't wasting any baits because the Elastec, well, I was wasting them when I got bit off. But anyway, and I've been throwing this on the little lure killer. What is this again? The C140 LUL by Lure Killer. This is like a little 4-piece rod they made. It's basically a little knockoff Huntsman, let's be honest. But I think this back then, I think they're like $100 now. When I bought this was like $35. Maybe they're not $100. I can't remember now. But it's a great little rod. So let's go ahead and get some specs on this new reel and see how it measures up. Whoopsie. Me and my butterfingers. Sorry about that. Let me get my scale out here. My son was out here messing. Sorry about that. There we go. Oh, and see, it comes with a neoprene bag. And then it has some Chinese on this right here. That's irregardless. So, the jewel scale. What does my kid do with that? All right, so I am just about done with all my other little projects and everything else I got going on right now as well. So I'm gonna be coming out here pretty soon and cleaning all this off, and there won't be none of this no more. That's sitting right beside me, damn. Alrighty, so the actual reel itself weighs, let's see, can I weigh it on here? The reel itself weighs 121 grams. Let's take it over to ounces, just because I want to get an accurate ounce weight on it. So the reel itself weighs 4.29 ounces. So it's an ultralight reel. I mean, it's a small little reel. It's basically this Longza MC1. If you see, it's very similar. Size, shape, I mean, it's a little bit different, but very similar. And I really like those Longza reels as well. But there's something about a little small round reel that I just love a little round reel. Something about them, how they cast, everything about it. All right, and so here's your little spool. And she weighs 5.32 grams. 5.3. Wait, one more time. Yep, 5.32. So, ultralight spool. Take that bearing off. You're looking at probably a 4 point. Let's just give it estimate at 4.5. That's a small bearing. 4.5 gram spool. That's pretty impressive, fellas. Pretty impressive. And it has 10 little magnets inside. I hope you can see those, guys. See those little magnets? See the spool sits over those magnets. And then it's your spool tension control, your brake knob. Your brake knob and your spool tension knob are on the same side. There's nothing on your side plate except for a bearing. It does appear to have a race, but it's not a race. It's just a little piece that holds it together. Holds that little plastic inside there together, that is. And that is an aluminum cover that goes over top of that plastic. But it is almost all plastic on the inside except for this little aluminum cover. All right, so let's put it back together. And it locks right together. And it is very smooth. Looks like they had the brake lock down on it. Nice aluminum drag star. Now, if I remember correctly on this one, I don't think the spool tension, the cast control knob or the brake dial clicked. Yeah, it don't click. You just turn it to minimum, maximum. Minimum this way, maximum that way. And your spool tension knob doesn't click on here either. So it was a really cheap reel. It was like $30 back when I first got it. I don't know how much they are now. I haven't looked at them in a while. Okay, so this one, does it click? Still no click on this. On your brake knob. Spool tension, still no click. I thought they would probably address that. This was, I can't remember off the top of my head how much this was, but I'm wanting to say this reel here was about 50 bucks. But at 50 bucks, if it's as good a caster as this one is, and as reliable as that reel is, that reel right there never backlashed on me. It's just hard for me to get the flick right with it. I'd rather just cast, if I'm gonna do one-handed cast, I'd rather just keep it in my left hand and cast with my left hand. That's what I'd rather do. But I'm still kind of old school, so I put it in my right hand, I cast, and then I switch it to my left hand. I know a lot of people who don't bass fish says, that makes no sense. that's how I learned how to fish. But yet, my spinning reel stays in my right hand all the time. And I cast with my right hand, reel with my left. It doesn't make no sense to me in my brain either, but it's how I learned. That's how a lot of fishermen learned. It just is what it is, fellas. It is what it is. One of them things you don't like, you know, they say you don't spit on Superman's cape. Or you don't spit into the wind. I'm sorry. You don't spit into the wind. You don't pull on Superman's cape. That's how it goes. You don't spit in the wind. You don't pull on Superman's cape. That kind of thing. So let's see. I got the spool tension knob moves pretty freely. I got the cast control pretty high. Oh yeah. Now, if I remember correctly, with this reel, the Lizard, it was a little bit over-braked unless you turned it down a good bit. When you turn it down a good bit, it was perfect. And I like the color of this reel. It's a blue reel, so I like this better than that. Thumb bar doesn't have any play in it. Yep. Thumb bar is good. Tighten my spool up some. I like a little bit of slop. This little reel just gets gone in my hand. It goes all the way around the damn thing. Still has a little bit in there. But I think that's about gone. Some people say you can set your reel totally up by just adjusting the actual slop you have in your reel, like having no side-to-side play. That's not very true. That's true if you're using like an average size bait. But if you're using an ultralight bait, you're going to have to bring that down a little bit. You're going to have a little bit looser spool, just because it's going to have too much tension. It's going to cast to the left. A lot of people think your reel, the brakes in your reel are over braked because it's pulling to the left. Really, the main problem is you have too much spool tension on there, and it's pulling to the left because your reel has too much tension in the spool. And so it's automatically going to pull to the left. Now, there has been some cases, like especially when the Dark Wolf Ultra first came out, it was over braked, and the brakes itself would pull to the left. But you could dial those down and have it a little bit looser, and it would do fine. But that's going to be some of the issues you have when you're dealing with some of these really small baits. But I have a couple rods that are my main panfish rods that I use when I go pan fishing. I'm getting ready to sell almost all the rest of them. This is one of them. Now that I have this reel, I'm going to probably just take that line off of that reel and then slap it on here, and Bob's your uncle. I don't have an uncle named Bob. I have an uncle named Joe, Eddie, and Chris, and Wesley. I don't know where that Bob's your uncle comes from, and I'm too lazy to go look. Well, it's not lazy. It's just I just don't care to go look. But that's been the USOPP Leydun. Does it say any other name on the box? I forgot to show you the box. Let's show you the box. It says left or right, Leydun. Then it says brand name OSOPP. And then it says bearing material stainless steel, made in China. No shit. But then it spells the name different down here. Weilidun, Weihilaidun. Instead of Leydun, it's Laidun. But LeydunFishingTackle.co. If you guys can see that. trying to keep it still. The box is wiggly wiggly. And then it has a nice little, the same box that the Boki came in. That's why I think these are, if this is not the same company, I'll kiss your sister. Don't tell my wife I said that, no. That didn't come out right. Yeah, it says something, it's like, didn't mean that. Didn't mean that at all, really. That's one of those things. Okay. I gotta put some, I took the reels off of these rods and cleaned them and stuff. This is probably my, I say this is, it probably is. I mean, this is the Orchi X10, basically the, kind of like the X-Bites, a little stouter. This is called the Bush Adder. This rod here is a little stouter. When you're throwing like your 1/2 ounce or more jig, or your 1/2 to 3/4 ounce Texas rig, or even your 1/2 ounce Carolina rig, this is the rod I like throwing. But this is more like my pitching, my heavy pitching setup, because it has I like to how short the handle is. You guys can tell about that. Let's see how short the handle is. Because it gives me a good, nice roll pitch or roll. I like to do a lot of roll casts when I'm skipping or pitching in little places. And this rod kind of meets that need for me. And it's very powerful. It has a kind of a softer tip. So you get a really good presentation with that bait. You can really just pitch it in really nice and lay it down the water really nice. But this butt section, you can make a little fish go kite sailing, if you know what that means. You can fly a kite with them. And this right here is another, this is my main, I have a couple other rods that are very similar to this. This is the Orchi X10 bearing down. I mean, you guys seen the P5 bearing down on another video, 6.5. It's 6.5, this one's 6.9. But this rod here, the Orchi X10, the bearing down, I like to throw my, basically like my small Texas rigs with it. But this rod here is powerful too. It's built basically very similar to the Bush Adder. A little bit shorter handle. And I would actually say this rod here is a little bit more sensitive than the Bush Adder, maybe a teeny bit. But they both have a very powerful butt. This one's, like I said, 6'9", has the same kind of tip, a soft enough tip. I can throw this like a 16th ounce tungsten weight in a fighting frog, or a 16th ounce tungsten weight, or 3/16, I mean, or a 1/8 ounce tungsten weight with a finesse worm, or a 4-inch stick bait, or any of the smaller side of my Texas rigs is on this rod. Just because I used to always try to do my pitching and stuff with like a 7.3, 7.4, and I still like to use a 7.2, but it has to have a shorter handle. But if I'm doing like, sometimes I get like the bigger Ned rigs, or not the bigger Ned rigs, but is it called the power? No, it's the 4-inch, basic TRD, the 4-inch TRD. My mind's drawing a blank on me right now. Anyway, I like to use the 4-inch TRD. I also like to use the little mag fatties, and put them on that rod as well. With a 3/16 ounce tungsten, that's money. I mean, that's just money. You ain't got to worry about tearing your bait up all the time. That and a 2-aught haymaker hook with a snail knot on the. A lot of people say you don't need a snail knot on the haymaker, but I think the snail knot with that haymaker hook makes it 10 times more effective. Because the haymaker is built off a straight shank profile with a ease factor of an offset hook. But to me, I fish it almost exactly like it's a straight shank. I use a snail knot. Now, I don't all the time peg it. And I guess my OCD brain, not my OCD, my ADH brain, just started talking on a tangent. And I got seen those on the table, so I thought I'd talk to you about those because somebody asked me about my Mega Bass stuff on Facebook, so I thought I'd mention some more of the Mega Bass rods I like to throw. I took the rod off of this one as well. It's sitting, let me get it off of that. And that's this one right here. This is the Leviathan, the 7'2". This rod here is 7'2", medium heavy, fast action. I think it's, let me see. But I tell people about these rods, Leviathan rods, all the time for the money value of them. As far as a budget rod, I don't really know if there's, as far as like aesthetics, looks, handle. I love the handles on these rods. What is that? Whatever it was is dead now. Some kind of little black bug. The quality of the grips. And I like, they use the appropriate size handle for what the bait's intended for. This rod is mostly intended for throwing like a Texas rig or pitching a Texas rig. I use this rod for something a little bit different. I use this rod for like a finesse Carolina rig rod, but I also use it for throwing like little black bugs on me. I'm sorry. I also like to use this rod for throwing like well, this is a little bit too small, but I thought I had one sitting right here. But like the 3.3 to a 4.3 inch Kitech. You get the 3.3 to 3.5 or 3.8 and the 4.3 inch Kitechs. I really love this rod for throwing those. I throw them usually with 12 to 15 pound fluorocarbon. And this rod here, this is the reel that came off of it right here. This is the SLX DC81. SLX 70 GT XT. XT. Ugh. This is the reel. I'm going to show you. It came off of here. This actually has 14 pound fluorocarbon on it. But this is the setup that was on here. I can use this rod. Depends. I can use this on a beast hook, and I can skip way back up under something. Well, that's this rod breakdown. Just thought I'd let you know about this. Dang, I realized how much time I spent on it already. I gotta get going and go get my son. Till next video, if you have any questions, ask them down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Y'all stay safe.